There wasn't any static, so I think we're okay.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, let's intro this.
Okay.
Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe and select a film so you don't have to. We highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. Will you agree with our panel, or will the panel agree with each other? Tune in to find out. I'm Milo Dennison, and joining me today is Kahal Feeney, and today we are going to talk about Parasite, the movie everybody else is talking about, the Oscar-winning flick that, I don't know, I guess I felt we just needed to do a show on it. Does it really count as an indie film?
Well, I was going to point that out, a multi-award winning, global hit. So, there's no way you can describe that as an indie film. And, typical American imperialism, cultural imperialism, is because it is made in the States. It's an indie film. But we're here to talk about it.
I wonder what the budget was for it. I mean, if it was a small enough budget, it could count.
I'd say it looked like a massive budget.
Probably did by South Korean standards or even U.S. standards. Who knows? Yeah.
I mean, it looked great. It looked amazing, and it was quite a long film.
Let's, first do a quick intro of the film for if you're one of the few people that haven't seen it yet or haven't seen it because you don't like to read films. It's written and directed by Bong Joon Ho, and it basically follows the story of a family in South Korea. They're a very poor family, basically living in a basement, and they con their way into working for this rich, affluent family, starting with the son getting a job tutoring the daughter, working their way to the sister, to the father becoming the driver, to the mother becoming the housekeeper. And it's pretty well written and smartly done in how they do it. This film won the Academy Award for both Best Picture and Best Foreign Film, which I think has never been done before, if I remember correctly.
It is the first film. First of all, it's the first foreign language film to win the Best Picture Oscar. Just by that alone, it's obviously going to be the first one to win both awards.
Because I thought, what was it? Quite a few years ago, there was a French film. It was a World War II film. Remember the big scene during the Academy Awards is when he won. He jumped up on the seats and kind of ran around all over the place.
Life is Beautiful.
Life is Beautiful. That's it. So I thought that's why he got so excited. Didn't he win Best Picture then?
No, I don't think so. I think it was Best Foreign Language.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very exciting for Best Foreign Language Film.
He was, yeah. Well, he's a comedian now. He's an Italian comedian, quite a famous award acceptance.
Yeah, that's what got me thinking about it, is because I thought maybe Best Foreign Film, or bet that it won Best Feature. Okay, so there you go. So Best Foreign Film. The thing about this is, I actually took me a really long time to watch this film because I just assumed I was gonna not like it, because I tend to not like a lot of Academy Award films. And I did like it. It actually turned out that I was really impressed with it. I thought they did a reasonably good job of kind of setting stuff up in a way that kind of led you to believe what was going to happen next, doing a little bit of a twist on it, but still doing it in a believable way, to where it wasn't like we just throw this completely random twist in there. I mean, there was some stuff in there, like the thing in the basement and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I thought they did a pretty good job with the writing and setting each thing that was going to happen, making it somewhat believable. The characters themselves, I had a little bit harder time empathizing with the characters, which made it kind of a little bit more difficult for me to enjoy the film. I feel like I need to like characters in a movie. And I kind of liked them a bit at first, but as it went on and they just kind of went down this rabbit hole, I began to like them less and want them to succeed less, and was kind of looking for failure.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have that kind of feeling about the characters. As it started out, they started out as this family of sort of scam artists and grifters, and they say they inveigled their way into the family of this sort of well-to-do family. And I suppose there is an element of you want them to succeed. There's a bit of humor in that, but it's sort of the film itself kind of changes tack then, sort of midway through it, that they become sort of much more aware of the their lot in life, the disparity between the wealth of this family and their poverty, and it starts to sort of eat away at them in a way. And one of my favorite lines in the film, I think, is something when the mother of the poor family they're having this kind of party in the house when the other family are gone, and she said that the mother of the rich family, that she can afford to be nice. Her wealth kind of knocks off the rough edges from her, and that was kind of it's very insightful, but also very bitter. It sort of signified sort of the kind of that moment in the film where it was going to say took a different direction. I never totally got emotionally involved with them, and I know we should say spoiler alert here, but the scene at the end with the party, that whole party kind of event happened, I actually laughed, because it was a surprise and it was a bit of a jolt, but the particular scene, was about this little boy, and he was supposed to be healing this trauma that he felt from his past, and then he ended up probably being more traumatized by events that's occurred. But yeah, like I didn't, I like if I wasn't so wrapped up in their struggle or anything like that, I just thought it was very funny, actually. The end.
The ending was fun, like just the
Yeah.
way it kind of played out. Yeah, I could see that. Like I didn't think it was funny, but I did. It was interesting how they set it up with the dad of the family going after the other dad, because for the most part they made the rich couple seem reasonably likable, but then they kind of had the dad. They had to make the dad somewhat unlikable in order to, so that way when what happens to him happens, we don't feel as bad about it. And I kind of felt like, did they really have to make him an unlikable character by doing that? I mean, we I think it would have been more impactful if we did like him, and but then I guess it wouldn't make sense that the father did it. So I don't know. I guess that's for me. That's one of the reasons why I thought it was pretty well written, because each action that the characters take, you can kind of see how it's justified, even especially in situation like this where it's all very extreme actions that they're all doing. Like the son going down to the basement with the rock, he's trying to come up with a solution to the problem, and then the dad of kind of a lifetime of abuse by people in higher positions than him, and just kind of treating him that way, how he can just snap like that. He does a good job of making that believable within the characters for something that's kind of a very extreme reactions to situations. And if he hadn't done that, the film probably might not have worked as well.
I don't think they really went out of their way to kind of to try and sort of turn the audience against him. I suppose it's in some ways it's reflective of the real world, that people who are wealthy aren't necessarily bad people. They can be nice, they can be generous, polite, and so on. And but they exist, say well, they exist in a sort of like their own bubble, their own universe, like their own kind of sphere. That it's kind of like an acceptance of the world the way it is, and they don't see like the deep inequalities that exist. Like these people that work for them, they're nice to them mostly, but there's no sense in their minds that this is actually deeply unfair, and the poor family are far more tuned into that. They're far more aware of that.
Yeah, where how the rich couple you almost look at it as like, yeah, this is just an average everyday life that we have all these people working for us, and
Exactly. Yeah.
and I'm sure that's pretty accurate. I mean, unfortunately, I've never been that rich, but I can
Yeah.
see
No, me
how
neither.
living in that bubble, how you could see that's so normal to you that you don't see the disparity between the two classes. To whereas when you're in that lower class and you suddenly have a moment to see what it's really like, it's much more an extreme reaction to.
Yeah, and even like the way it's filmed, like that, you have there's the poor family that they live in a basement, and the well-to-do family, they're kind of on a hill, so you have this kind of this physical sort of resemblance, or portrayal of their status. You know?
Yeah, I agree. There was that one scene when they leave the house on that rainy night, after a lot of that action happens, and they're going literally in the rain, walking downstairs, down a flight of, a road, and physically throughout that whole scene, moving from that where they kind of thought they were going to be for, they had these dreams kind of popping into their head back to the reality of their lives. And then to have it so extreme on both ends was really an interesting, well shot scene. And what's nice about it, you mentioned how it was shot. It is pretty good in the sense that there's really only 2 locations in this film to have such a dramatic, well-made film that has done so well internationally when you think about it, because you've got the rich people's house, the poor people's house, a couple quick little scenes in between, but that's really all there is to it. So there's not a lot of locations that they filmed this in, to make a film that actually resonated with so many different audiences around the world, versus you're looking like a James Bond film or something like that, where it has 100 different locations in order to make it interesting. That they were able to make an engaging film with just basically that takes place in a house.
Yeah, 2 houses, yeah, and obviously the basement as well. But I suppose it's sort of a drama, so it's the writing and the performances much more so than James Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a film that kind of, there's a lot going on there. It's a lot to appreciate how it was crafted.
So do you think it deserved all the awards?
Yeah, well, I mean, it deserved it as much as the next film. Why not? The funny thing about the Oscars, I was thinking about this to a certain degree. If you look at the Oscars, it comes at the end of the award season now. I mean, even the BAFTAs have actually moved their ceremony to before the Oscars. So, like, you have the Golden Globes and Screen Actors Guild, and there's a certain sort of award fatigue kind of sets in by the time the Oscars comes around, and you sort of more or less know who's going to win, like 90%. But the one outlier in recent years has been the best film. So you had, like, a couple of years ago, you had Moonlight won. That was kind of a surprise, and I think even last year it was Green Book. I don't think that was expected either. So I think it's almost an attempt to stay relevant. They have this kind of little, rabbit in the hat to kind of pull out of their best picture award. But I mean, for a foreign language film to win the best picture is definitely unique. And
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so should we get to the ratings?
Sure.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'll give it 4.5.
I'm going 4 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not quite a 5-star film, but it's definitely, I agree, it deserves a lot of the accolades that it's received. The fact that it was just kind of really well made, yet not extravagant. The writing's excellent. The look of it, the acting, the performances by everyone, I thought was brilliant. Just wasn't quite to the 5-star level, I don't think, for me. But very close.
Yeah, very close. I mean, it's sort of an arbitrary, random kind of thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4.5. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Oh well, I think this is our highest rated film so far that we've done.
Is it?
It might be. I think we gave 6-Shooter pretty high ratings. Well, you and Claire gave 6-Shooter pretty high ratings. I think I gave it a 3.
I think I gave, even though we haven't shown it yet, I think, did I give Rejected? Did I give that a 5?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Rejected is. This will actually be going up before Rejected. So
okay, right.
So I decided to put this a little farther forward in the why it's still relevant. But since Claire gave it Claire gave Rejected such a low rating, it drops the
overall rating. Okay, well, out of 2. Well, I think she did really enjoy this film in actual fact.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for watching the show. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for listening. If you're listening via a podcast player, as always, we'd love it if you'd leave a comment or a review and let us know what you think of the show. And with that, we will say thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.